I'm wearing it. Welcome to today's edition of Woolsey TV. In today's video, we're going to talk about, now back in 1991, my father, in about end of 90, my father got retrenched from his work. He used to be a engine rebuilder. And through the TAFE College, Northern Metropolitan College of TAFE, which is now called Melbourne Polytechnic, my father did courses at Collingwood campus, with electronics, with electronical study. And he was suggested by the CES to do computers. So this computer was purchased from Dick Smith Electronics back in 1992, around September 92, and it originally had a monochrome screen, no mouse, and a keyboard, and it used to have a monochrome screen, and that what we started with all those years ago with this computer hobby. That's how we started, and basically. We got into laser printers a decade later, back in 2001. You can see behind me two of my laser printers. It just expanded from there. So what you can see, my old Acer 500 computer. This is my original computer from 1992. And it's pretty much how it originally was back in 92. The keyboard is 1992 original. The floppy drive was 1992 original. We used to have a Oki data printer as well. This is not the same machine we had back in 92, but it's a similar vintage. And here is a mouse that it runs on. Now, let's power it up. Now, back in 1992, this is all we had back in the year. Now, back in 1992, this is all we had. This machine has got a 20 gigabyte hard disk. It originally came out with a monochrome screen originally. That monitor is well and truly gone. The menu to the Acer 500. Now you got Word Perfect, Quick Menu, X3 Gold, Command and Change is not there anymore, and Exit to DOS. So we'll press 5. Exit to DOS. This is a very, very primitive menu item that the machine came with back in 92. And it used to be a black screen with a square, and I modified it. Now what I'll show you is I'll press type, menu dot bat. These bloody keys don't work very well. Bat. Then I'll type in more, and I'll press space, more, and press enter. And press enter. Oh, come back to my own phone now. And press F3 to repeat it. Because I'm so used to the more modern keyboard, I feel there's enter there. Because I haven't been using these keyboards for such a long period of time. Back in the box, like back in the 90s. Now this is the box system this machine used to have. when we first got the machine back in 92. Now, here we are in WordPerfect, our very first word processor program back in the early 90s. This is all we had back in the 90s. Now let's get the mouse. Now, even back in the 90s, when we first had a computer, the mouse made it a lot easier to, I don't know why it's got block on for. I don't know why it's got block on. Turn off block. And here we go. This is a word processor back in early days of computing. This is what we had back in the 90s. This, let's do typing here. This is WordPerfect. Now it also had a spelling program. Now if the machine can recognise the word, here we go, here's a spelling program here, free document. And it should find the correct spelling for WordPerfect. Obviously it hasn't. So press F3 to cancel. Yeah. Press F7. Press escape. Obviously it didn't work. Now what we need to do, WordPerfect, PPR, yeah, that's it. Now it should detect that been the wrong spelling for perfect there, like that. You click on tools, click on spell, and then you click on free document, and it should find the right spelling. There you go. This is the very primitive word. Then to correct the spelling, you click on A, and you click on there, and you got the correct spelling. So this is a very, very good word processor when we first started, when we first had a computer. And that's pretty much what we used to have. Now, for spreadsheets, back in these old days, we had Lotus 1, 2, 3. Now, because of the CRT screen, that's what I was flickering before, because that's how it used to be a CRT, and I use a CRT because it fits the era. I can use a modern screen with this. I don't really want to. You click on View Document. Here's a graphical representation of the document. And here's what we just typed. This is WordPerfect. Now to get out of it, you press F7. And it takes you back. Now, back in the old days with computing, we had a function keys on these older on the early software. And basically F7 is always exit. F1 always means help most of the time. F6 is underline. You press F6 and it gives you underline like that. Underline. Like that. Now we press F6 and we'll type in this is bold. Like that. And that's, then also you want to underline it like that. You want to underline it, you select it like you did in modern Microsoft Word, and you press F8, and that will underline it. That's now underlined it. That's underlined in WordPerfect. To get out of WordPerfect, you press F7. We want to save it. Exit WordPerfect. Yes. This will take us back to DOS. And that's what, now let's go into Lotus. Get into 1, 2, 3. Type in Lotus. There you go. Now this is how I used computers back in the old days. Used to use DOS, disk operating system. 1, 2, 3. This is the old school of getting into applications. This is the old school way of doing it. Now this is Lotus 1, 2, 3. All this software came when we first got this computer. We first got this machine. We first got this machine back in 92. This software package came with the machine. Now the date is 1980. That's because the battery of the machine is no good. Now to get into the menu, I don't know. You press escape. I don't know. You press enter. Press F1. Seeking the floppy disk for some reason. And it came up with error. The disk drive not ready. I don't know. How you get into the menu item? Let's look up off camera. According to the manual, to get into the worksheet, you press to here, and you type in. You can make graphs. Now, what we here? Arrange. Now, this is the thing here. You want to make a graph, you click on press graph. And you can press view, and it'll make up a. Now, here you go. Now, what we do, we'll make a basic graph. So what I'll do it off camera. Now, what I need to do, you press 78, and you press 90. You have to type in 90 random numbers in. And I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done this for. Now, here we go. We typed some data in. Now, what we need to do is a graph. Type. We'll do a bar graph. And X range. And hopefully that'll be enough to get it going. No. No. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to do it off camera, and I'm going to fix it. Here's the data input range. You select that, and and you do a graph, type, bar, options. Now, hopefully it's going to work. No. X. Type, do a bar, and then A1 dot A3. Value, number of cells. Oh, here you go. That's the range. There you go. Now, let's see, we do a graph. And X range. A1 dot A6. Yeah, make a graph. Options. Color. A1 dot A6. Oh, how you bloody doing, eh? How you doing? Hey, this is a really old machine, isn't it? Now, I'll do it off camera. Now, Lowe's 123 is capable of doing a graph. However, I have not managed to do it. I've not done this program for a long, long time. And I'll press no. And just click the program. Now back into DOS. Here's another program. Now, I'm sorry I haven't done that graph on Lotus. But I don't know, I haven't done it for such a long period of time. Now, here's another program here, which is also one of the very first, which is one of the many first types of file management programs we had on these machines. And this gives you access to absolutely everything on the view, everything on the disk drive. Now let X3 Gold to start up off camera. Gold, which is a very, very useful program for these early machines back in the 90s. And as you can see here, you get access to everything on the drive, everything. And this shows you. Now here's one program here we used to have, which is FastWire. Now you can view any file. You can view files. If this is a text file here, and you can actually view the file. You can view the file. Oh, here you go. Now here you go. Now this is X3 Gold. This is the view. Now X3 Gold. You can press X key to view all the text inside the file. There you go. The X3 Gold is actually quite useful. Now, if you want to press Word Wrap, you can view all the file. This made X3 Gold a very useful program. With the early computing of the 80s and 90s. X3 Gold is very, very useful back in up to Windows. X3 Gold was used right towards Windows 95. Today, you can also buy a program called XZ3, which is a clone of this program, X3 Gold. And basically, it's still the same application, but it's more geared towards more modern machines. Now, also another ability is you can view the hex. Here you go. Here's the hex of the file, and basically you can then you can edit. You can edit this file, X3 Gold. And you can edit any file you like, hex in the hex format. X key and hex, and that's it. You just press escape, and there you are. This is the early computing. This is what the program I use. And here you go. Auto accept that, and here you go. This was last modified in 1995. So this is probably around the last last few times using the machine, last modified back in 95. So you can view it. You can view the audio set file. Now also, on early computers, you got the config.sys. Here you go. Here's the menu program. For what I did, this is the menu program of the system. Now I can modify number 2 to be Lotus 123 as well. And this is some old early programming code that I did. Now on this machine as well, it's got all the TSR files on there, TSI, and basically it's Auto Park, which is a hard drive parking program. These early PCs needed to be parked. Modern hard drives have got the ability to park by electronically. On these older machines, you have to do it manually through the software. And that's what you need. That's what these machines needed. Auto Park is there when you turn the machine off, and it's all right. You can turn off like a modern machine these days. But these older hard disks needed to be parked. Now, another file that on these machines used to have is the config.sys. And this is the software, this is the code that configures DOS on this machine. And that is pretty much what that's on the machine. And to run the menu program, you need ANSI.sys on there. And that's pretty much runs the menu program, ANSI.sys. And Stacker is a file compression software that was used on older machines back in early 90s. Yeah. This is the drive statistics. The hard drive is a 20 megabyte hard drive. It has been compressed to almost 40 megabytes, and this is what we started with back in 92. The downfall of file compression in the early days, it did slow down the hard disk. So it used to slow down the hard disk. Now here's another menu program that I have on the machine. It is called Quick Menu. There's another menu program that is one of my first GUI interface programs I used back in the day. It is called Quick Menu. And Quick Menu was very, very useful back in early days computing. It gives you a graphical user interface we all take for granted today. It has got icons. Fastwire is when you used to connect it to the parallel port to transfer data across one machine to one machine. That's how we used to do it back in the DOS days before we did computer networking. Excuse about the bar because it's a CRT. Now click on modify. This also has got a primitive style of a screensaver. Now let me talk about screen blank. Here we go. Here's all different types of screensavers. Now this machine also has got a Hercules card in here. Hercules card. And CGA card built in back in this machine was when we first got this machine. We used to have a monochrome screen when we first started. Here's the screensaver we saved with. Click on preview. And here's the primitive screensaver that we used to have on this old machine. Early machines used to have a screensaver because the screen used to have screen burn on these old monochrome screens. And what my father used to do, he used to turn down the contrast and the brightness to prevent the screen from being burnt. That was the problem with these monochromes, these old machine monochrome screens. Here you go. Now this is one of our very first screensavers. Now it's quicker exploding clock, and that's one of the early screensavers, and the clock just popped. That's the old style. That's the very primitive screensavers of the early days. So that's the early days that's a glimpse of our early days. Glimpse of our early days. Yeah. Basically, you can also use quick menu with your thing and just press enter to save. And now you can press Alt and done, and that is back to the main. That's back in the main menu. So pretty much that's just now. I'll turn the machine off now, off camera. That's all for today in a glimpse of the computer of our past. And basically it was a glimpse of the future with the GUI interface. Back in the 90s, this machine did run Windows 1 on this Acer 500. Or it could have been the NEC PowerMate. NEC PowerMate. That was our second computer after this one. And this machine had VGA card in it. And initially, when we were changing over to this Acer, when we were changing over from this Acer 500, hi everybody, welcome to today's now the blue gun is missing, but for our purposes, don't worry about it. But back in the DOS days, it used to be that colour with video. But we're not going to turn the machine off because the hard drive needs to be parked for it to work. But the blue gun is missing because of the video connection. So I'll fix that off camera.
Nikki from Your Favorite Nikki. Thanks for watching Woodsy TV. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.